Imagine waking up one morning and realizing the sky is completely dark. No sunrise, no faint glow on the horizon. Just endless night. This is the world you'd face if the sun suddenly disappeared for 24 hours. At first, people might think it's an eclipse. Social media would explode with photos of the blackened sky, and millions would rush outside to watch the impossible. But, very quickly, confusion would turn into fear. Within the first few minutes, temperatures around the globe would begin to drop. The sun is the planet's primary heat source, and without it, Earth starts losing warmth, like a body in space. At first, the change feels like a sudden cold front, cool winds sweeping across cities. But as the hours tick by, the cold intensifies. By the end of the first hour, temperatures could drop by several degrees. After 12 hours, many regions would already be below freezing, even those near the equator. But the cold would not be the only problem. Plants and animals, finely tuned to the sun's cycles, would be thrown into chaos. Birds would stop singing. Flowers would not open. Farmers would watch helplessly as their crops froze in the fields. And without sunlight, photosynthesis would halt completely. For one day, it wouldn't mean much, but if the darkness lasted longer, the very foundation of our food chain would collapse. Meanwhile, the oceans would begin to respond. The surface water, normally warmed by the sun's rays, would start to freeze in colder regions. Waves would slow. Marine life that relies on the light to navigate would be disoriented, and the great whales would wander through black seas without guidance. The most immediate human reaction would be panic. Stock markets would crash, as investors realized the world was facing something unknown and uncontrollable. Air travel would come to a halt, with pilots refusing to fly in a sky where no dawn arrives. Electricity grids would be pushed to the limit, as billions of people turned on lights and heaters, trying to fight the darkness and cold. Rolling blackouts would sweep across countries. Psychologically, the impact could be just as severe as the physical one. Humans are creatures of light. Our brains rely on the sun's cycles to regulate sleep, energy, and mood. In a world without daylight, depression, anxiety, and confusion would spread like wildfire. Hospitals would be overwhelmed, not with injuries, but with people suffering mental breakdowns. Some would cling to faith, believing it's the end of the world. Others would take to the streets, rioting or praying under the black sky. Yet, for all the chaos, one strange beauty would emerge. With no sunlight, the night sky would reveal itself in ways humanity had never seen before. Billions of stars would shine with crystal clarity. The Milky Way would stretch across the heavens like a river of light, and even distant galaxies would be visible to the naked eye. Cities, once polluted by light, would see the universe in its raw brilliance. For astronomers, it would be the most incredible view in human history. But the beauty would not last. As the hours continued to pass, the cold would become deadly. In some regions, especially in northern latitudes, temperatures could plummet to -40 degrees Celsius by the end of the day. Entire ecosystems would begin to collapse. People without access to heat would not survive. Wildlife would freeze in their habitats. Even massive structures, like bridges and power plants, would start to fail under the extreme cold. And then, just as mysteriously as it vanished, the sun would return. After 24 hours of darkness, a blinding light would appear on the horizon. At first, people would shield their eyes, terrified that it might vanish again. But when the warmth touched their faces, relief would sweep across the planet. People would cry in the streets, hugging strangers, laughing, praying, and celebrating survival. The aftermath, however, would be unforgettable. Millions would have died from the sudden freeze. Crops would be destroyed, economies shattered, and global trade paralyzed. Humanity would face months of recovery, struggling to rebuild and replant. Yet the memory of that day would never fade. Every sunrise, from then on, would feel like a miracle. The event would change us forever. Religions would claim it as a sign. Scientists would publish endless papers trying to explain how such an impossible disappearance could occur. Governments would invest heavily in backup systems to prepare for a future without the sun. And ordinary people would simply live with a deeper appreciation of the fragile light that sustains our world. So, what if the sun disappeared for 24 hours? It would be chaos. It would be beauty. It would be tragedy. And it would be a reminder that everything we know, every breath we take, depends on a single star shining in the sky.